In my last Digimon video, I had this whole aside about this one scene where Ken boots a dog.
Nice shot!
Which was understandably censored for Westerners, but unfortunately led to the scene being defanged, as said punt was actually integral to Ken's character, being a reflection of his capacity for violence. And sitting down with friends to watch Digimon Tamers, I ran into a very similarly butchered scene as early as episode 3. A scene that felt off, both visually and tonally. I'm going to push the boundaries of what constitutes fair use and show you most of this scene without commentary. Tell me what you think of it. It begins with Best Boy Terriermon digivolving into Gargomon, in spite of his tamer, Henry's wishes.
This is hard! Sorry.
This is what I was afraid of! He's just not ready for that kind of firepower yet! He's out of control.
I have to stop that little gun bunny before he hurts Rika!
Way to go, Renamon! Now's your chance!
She doesn't realize what's going on!
This is just so wrong! It's like he was never Terriermon at all. Uh-oh.
Rika, no! Beelzemon!
So yeah, a lot to unpack, right? Let's break down why this scene felt so uncanny. At first, you have Gargomon apologising for the collateral he's causing, giving the impression that his Gatling guns are firing without his say, and that he's struggling to handle their recoil. But then, he just starts awkwardly cackling and leading into the destruction. And after Renamon and Beelzemon rush in to pacify him, he then has a pair of stonking great scars on his eyes, which, you know what, that one's okay. We can infer that Renamon did that, that's not too wild. But then he just loses all of his manic energy and in a very strangely framed shot, just stares menacingly at Rika, which leaves her visibly shaken and prompts an escalation of violence from Beelzemon. What the hell is happening here? Well, obviously, there's been some censorship at play. You see, in the original Japanese version, this scene plays out completely differently. Gargomon doesn't say a word. He just goes into a state of cackling bloodlust from the get-go because he can't control himself. And instead of stopping to narrate what they're doing at any given time, the Digimon just dive into action, with the money shot of Renamon gouging at Gargomon's eyes actually being shown. But most importantly, I'm sure you can imagine why this scene, effective as it may have been for upping the stakes and showing just how dangerous Digimon can be, had to be censored. But even if you did just take out the moment where a 10-year-old Rika is about to be gunned down, the entire scene was still deemed intense enough to warrant diffusing through continuous narration. Case in point, let's compare the original ending to the dubs.
Are they always like that when they digivolve?
That's a good question, isn't it?
Okay, so that dialogue is all well and good for explaining her newfound anxieties regarding Digivolution. But do you know what would have gotten that point across even better? Yeah. Rika hyperventilating over the fact that she was nearly murdered in cold blood. Yeah, that hits harder, doesn't it? Digimon Tamers is often cited as one of the best and darkest adaptations of the property, and this scene single-handedly inspired me to go through and show off some of the changes between the Japanese and English releases. However, before I do, I'd like to make my position on censorship as a whole abundantly clear, and it's a lot more complex than you might think. While it does suck knowing that a creative work has been kneecapped by a third party just to cater to the sensibilities of an international market, I've been in the creative field long enough to understand that in some extreme circumstances, censorship does in fact have its place. Last year, I made a video deciding which episodes of Pokémon deserved to be banned, and while I did get quite heated during that video, and downplayed Japan's atrocious treatment of South Korea more than I wish I had, I did make it clear that my decisions were based on my own sensibilities and morals. However, I'm not any given country's television standards agency. I'm one guy on YouTube. Sure, I can say that the Tauros episode shouldn't have been banned because of a gun being pointed at a kid's head, but I don't live in a country where depicting kids with guns pointed at them can lead to real and incredibly deadly consequences. And I'm very thankful for that.
There's a little thing called BSNP, Broadcast Standards and Practices. When you air anything during the Saturday morning slot of 6 a.m. to 12 on Saturday mornings in America on any network, that network dictates what you see.
Something I only wrapped my head around recently, thanks to the wonderful Eric Stewart there, is that companies like 4Kids and Saban don't butcher their adaptations for shits and giggles. They do so at the request of their TV network censorship boards, who in turn base their standards on their country's broadcasting laws. And since the US dub of any Japanese show is usually the version that is sent out for international release in English-speaking countries, after which each episode could then get banned completely or censored further in any given country, ultimately, we just have to accept that this is how things were done. And surprise, surprise, lashing out at creatives has never been the correct response to all of this. Again, I don't understand all of the ins and outs, but I think it's safe to assume that their hands were tied. To be honest with you, most times I've seen people getting mouth-frothingly angry at censorship online, it's not because of their ironclad artistic integrity, but more from a place of extreme far-right victimhood, where vaguely defined concepts such as political correctness, or cancel culture, or the new hot one, wokeness, are conspiring to ruin media in order to serve a malicious, vaguely defined agenda. Oh, hey there, Chiachi J. Kanaka, lead writer of Digimon Tamers and its 20th anniversary stage show. What are you doing on the screen right now? Get off of there, you scamp! Okay, starting off with violence. In episode 1, a flash is added to the dub version in order to mask Maildramon getting crushed into data. In episode 14, the dub removes Impmon stomping on the small innocent bean Kalumon.
What do you want from me, you big bully? Nothing, Ellie. Just the data.
In episode 17, a shot of a downed Gargomon with a crossbow bolt aimed squarely at his head is removed, along with some of this.
He punched me in the fucking dick. He threw me out on the streets and kicked me in the dick again.
In episodes 19 and 20, Impmon, getting the ever-loving shit kicked out of him by Indaramon, had to be cut down at the very least.
Leave him be.
So, fool, have you had enough?
Not a chance. I'm just getting my second win. Henry, normally I wouldn't complain. Do you think this is going a little too far?
You're right, Carryamon. Come on, Impmon, you can do it. That's right.
Give the old 1-2. Hey, stick a sock in it if I wanted to help.
In episode 30, several shots of Beelzemon pointing his gun at Cubimon's face are replaced with reaction shots.
Make that always. It's a simple trade. Your lives for my life.
Episode 34, the big turning point episode, was the one where I really thought our version would have been neutered. But holy shit, no. All we lost were Beelzemon kicking Cubimon and stabbing Wargrowlmon, both moments being really brief. His impaling Leomon to death and the subsequent murderous rampage of Takato and Wargrowlmon were left pretty much untouched. Also, while we're here, the overall weight of this scene, from Jerry's emotional breakdown, to Mr. Wong's understandable fear that his children are going to die, to Takato's immediate regret upon turning his best friend into a harbinger of the apocalypse, is all treated with the appropriate gravitas. Brilliantly done. Almost perfect. Holy shit, I wish you dropped the cheesy ending narration for this one fucking episode.
I don't think Takato meant to turn Guilmon into whatever that is. I hope it's not permanent.
Well, that just happened. And despite there being another 17 episodes after this, that's actually it for the violence category. In part because later episodes grew more introspective and thoughtful in the face of an unknowable enemy, and in part because said enemy is an eldritch abomination, as built up by all of the Lovecraftian references. It turns out that murdering an all-encompassing slime that deigns only to return all human creation to nothingness is not all that objectionable to TV executives. Ironic, considering that that's a really good description of some of them.
Mr. Booze.
In episode 2, a pair of girls speculate that their head teacher is currently hammered. In the English dub, they instead assume that he's off his rocker.
I heard the principal's finally gone crazy. Well, I've always suspected that school was bad for your health.
In episode 8, a man in Shinjuku Park tries to light a cigarette, which is completely airbrushed out of the dub.
With me?
A fire? Allow me!
I find this one funny because one of the show's major characters, Yamaki, frequently plays with his lighter. There is no way this guy doesn't smoke like a goddamn chimney when the cameras are off of him. In episode 15, a man is escorted, staggering out of the subway, due to his food poisoning. That's a clever get-around, I respect that one.
Oh, I don't feel so good.
Man, I can't believe you ate one of the sandwiches from the vending machines.
I didn't think ham was supposed to be yellow, but I thought it might be gourmet.
That vending machine belongs in the Museum of Natural History.
Right! There's something in the tunnel!
Yeah, buddy. That ham's got you hallucinating.
I'm not kidding, it's got red eyes! Look out!
In episode 24, Rika's mother is revealed to be a bit of a wine mum. In the dub, we don't see her pouring any wine, and the scene where she acts drunk is excused as parental pride over seeing her tomboy daughter wearing a dress. Now, episode 31 has most of the gang finding themselves at a brewery in the digital world. So all references to liqueur were slyly replaced with milkshakes.
It's milkshakes.
Yeah.
They're the specialty at my family's restaurant. I'd recognize that smell anywhere.
Well, you can't have any of ours.
This gets even funnier when they have to pour milkshake on Andromon's wounds. You know, some rubbing milkshake for what ails ya.
This is weird.
Why? Milkshakes always make me feel better.
The data will heal him.
And even funnier, the Gekomon are forced to brew by Orochimon, an alcoholic hydra. He kidnaps Jerry for the sole purpose of having her feed him booze. She plots to leave him blackout drunk. He weaponizes his alcoholic breath for his special attacks. This episode is almost entirely about alcohol and had to be converted into milkshakes so clumsily that the end result is genuinely hilarious. I actually think it's funnier than the original. If you don't at least see the comedy in this, I don't know what to tell you. In episode 4, they remove Best Boy Terriermon taking a shit. I know I went on that whole tirade about TV broadcasting laws, but shitting is one of the few things that the original Digimon pets did. It's integral to the franchise as a whole! I'm not actually mad about this one because the dub made him do a fun little dance instead. Oops! Kalumon drew a Star of David in episode 5. Let's just airbrush that into a Star of Not David. Sure, why not? And right near the end of the show's run, in episode 50, Jerry is restrained by the big bad with wires around her throat. I was going to put this into the violence category, only to realise that they also changed her pose so she was no longer invoking a crucifixion. I guess that is like a crossover between violence and religious iconography. I'm just going to put it here, this category's really thin.
Oh no!
I don't really want to count this one, least of all in this category because I absolutely do not see it. But according to Wikimon, one of the 2 Digimon wikis that I used to bring this all together, the dub tones down Jerry's attraction to Leomon.
Now where were we?
You're a strange little human. You sure you're okay?
I am just fine.
Okay.
Having placed both versions side by side, no, they absolutely do not. In both versions, she is simping hard for this lion man. And like, girl, I get it. Look at this furry beefcake appearing out of a rainbow and tell me that he isn't ticking someone's boxes. But yeah, I actually prefer the dub in this case for using the term destiny instead of love, which makes for much better thematic foreshadowing.
Are you sure he's your partner?
Yes!
How come?
'Cause it's destiny!
Okay, thanks!
You can't escape destiny, Mr. Leomon!
More on point, episode 26 has Rika kick a sleeping Kazu into Kenta, causing the boys to accidentally kiss. This was removed from the English dub due to gay panic, but the animation of Babamon squeezing her titties while joking about using her breast milk attack, that's not changed at all. So, interesting priorities you have there. Anyways, here's the big one that you all saw coming. And you know your boy ain't even gonna show this one. But from episode 35 onwards, the Tamers get stark bollock naked when they biomerge with their Digimon to reach the Mega level. The English version has the good grace to cover up their nips and privates with glowing auras of light, but it still manages to make me cringe, and I do not cringe lightly. I get that depicting nude children in an entirely non-sexual context is not at all taboo in Japan, but my own sense of Western modesty and safeguarding would force me into a state of fight or flight if I were forced to watch these uncensored. Ergo, I'm very okay with this change. And before y'all pipe up, I let the Alessify and the Simpsons movie get away with this because those are supposed to be shocking and uncomfortable. I don't have to justify my distaste for nude children to you. Fuck off. Now, I've gone on record before saying that I love the English dubs of Digimon. God damn it, I stick by that. The dubs are typically littered with these fun little gags and characterizations that are not present in the original, and I often see purists seething about these changes. But personally, I think it makes the series more lovable. How, and I mean this genuinely, how can you hate Impimon's dub voice?
You have made me sick to my stomach. I think I'll have to go somewhere and puke my guts out.
Or the genuinely cool decision to have the biomerged Megas speak with doubled voices.
Is that all you got? And you call us pathetic?
You dare taunt me?
Yep, and I'll do it again, too!
Or the goofy banter from the Japanese soldiers in the final stretch of episodes, all of whom are just dead silent in the original.
Make sure to stay behind the tank, man. It'll protect you if that thing attacks. Sir, but what about us guys trapped inside the tank when it attacks? All right, cut the chat.
I contend that you can't hate all those things because they're all great. Anyways, that's pretty much everything I wanted to cover today. Though every time I've taken a look at a Digimon series, I've also taken a brief look at their tie-in OVAs. and I don't want to spoil a trend, so... But anyway, here's the real fun. Oh. Best fucking Digimon, hands down. Apparently there's a movie about him.
Is there?
I want to watch his movie. Like, holy shit. Best movie of all time. The train that got really pissed off. Thomas the Tank Engine 2.
Nice.
The flattening. Alright, so there are actually 2 Tamers short films, both of which had cinematic releases in Japan. The first is Battle of Adventurers, which takes place fairly early on in the main series, and has the Tamers team up to beat the demonic Mephistomon, whose plan revolves around distributing Bonzi Buddy style viruses. Huh, that's just a thing that happened in real life. Anyways, the special is okay, I guess. The animation is nice. The dog dies. I'm way more interested in watching the season epilogue about a very pissed off runaway train.
I like trains.
Runaway Locomon is about a crazy train Digimon named Locomon, and that is a very good double entendre. He makes himself a known problem for both the Tamers, who are trying to get around, and for Japanese transit as a whole.
The entire electrical grid for downtown just crashed.
Are you joking?
I don't have a sense of humor, sir.
Best line. Easily. Takato, Rika, and Renamon manage to board Locomon in an attempt to slow him down from inside. This doesn't work. A reformed Beelzemon tries to shoot it off of the tracks from his goddamn motorbike, which is sick, but also doesn't work. Tamaki then decides to reroute the track in order to send the train back through a digital portal, which would be an effective solution if not for Rika getting possessed.
Rika, what's wrong? Stay back. It's not her. Huh?
Now that is an incredibly emulatable action that I'm surprised wasn't censored for the Western broadcast. But then again, maybe it actually was? I have no way of knowing. You see, the archived footage you're watching is from the Japanese DVD release, but the audio is from a VHS recording of the US broadcast. Tamers media is really poorly preserved and is hard to get a hold of in an official capacity. Anyways, while Takato is able to avoid getting brained with a big fuck-off wrench, Renamon, of all characters, is far less lucky.
Renamon! What happened? It's Rika.
I know she would never raise a hand to her tamer, but Renamon is like a ninja. I don't know how she got walloped that badly. So it turns out all of this chaos is the result of a pair of parasitic Parizamon. Guilmon is able to take out the one controlling Rika, Takato and Renamon save her from falling off the train and getting splattered, and Locomon decides to digivolve to his mega form. I don't know how this actually changes anything. He's still just barreling towards a portal very quickly. I guess now he looks a little bit cooler as he does it.
You want her? Come and get her!
Not the voice I was expecting, but I don't hate it. All of this was apparently as Parizamon had planned, as he then decides to mess with the portal, allowing a horde of his buddies to break through and start latching onto people. The Tamers all power up and engage in one more violent skirmish, killing off the individual parasites and allowing Gran Locomon to bounce.
I wanna run. I wanna keep on running.
And finally, they end the series with Rika's surprise birthday party. The perfect time to reflect on the parental abandonment issues that Parizamon dredged up while controlling her. Also, the buns do a cute dance, so 10 out of 10. And with that, I'm pretty much done talking about Digimon Tamers. No, I'm not reviewing a QAnon-inspired stage play. Get out of my house. Massive thank you to all of my patrons, especially Anonymous, Dan Brown, Twice, Fitzwilliam Ramsbottom, Neve Calderwood, Pixel Pusher, Ravi Poodle, Shameboy, Thomas Walker, and Toon Pirate. By the way, feel free to throw requests at me if there's any show that I've not covered yet, or any topic about any show. I will definitely look into it. It will give me an idea of where to go next. Take easy and see y'all later.